Everybody understand the position of track lines when you come into manifest instructions, locations, modulations, or anything flight navigations and navigation to understand how to get into the consoles of your simulators. Okay, so we're on a whole levels, a whole line condition setting. In track location, you guys have to understand the fabrics of space, the modulations of space, okay, the programs of space. Your position lines of your Earth perception screen line is in a new contract set locations, right? So we're in the vacuums of space now. So your connection to your eye perception screen setting is now in a teleportation set locations. You have to learn how to get in your checking points and your dockings. Really understand your hangars. This is about understanding what you're seeing in space for the first time, what you hear. Okay, so in fabrics of space is I don't understand foundation. Foundation location is static. Static, right? Touch yourself. It's all levels. You're picking up sound waves, sound barriers, everything of sound, right? Breaking the sound barrier, set locations. Understanding the sounds of your ears, finally understanding the sounds, picking up the waves. Right? Right? So things are going to go past your screen. Okay? So what you understand, this is open space that doesn't have a provision lines of source. It doesn't have a set location to its resource, but it is what it is through its intelligence. And it doesn't identify you because you don't understand it through its intent. Okay? So when something goes by, what was that? Right? So if you want to communicate with it, you got to communicate to its frequency, right? To its set location. Doesn't understand you. It's going to leave. Right? So getting into your body is the outline of your Merkaba. Okay? So try to understand the transition locations of your space, of fabric, understanding the static, understanding the bandwidth, understanding the longitude and latitude, understanding the coordinates, okay? Understanding pi and a higher level of dimension of space, higher levels of dimension, seeing planets, picking up the sounds, right? Things going across. Right? UFO. Out through equation, right? So everything is going to come into your square roots, which is your pi, okay? Your space line, your correlations, your panels, your divisions, your hangars, your manifest, and your instructions is going to show you why. Becomes the how, okay? So you come into astral projection in space, no longer on your Earth. Okay. So the reason why I'm saying all this through sound is because you have to pick up the audio signals. You got to pick up the input. You got to pick up the output. You got to understand the transitions. You're transisting into your GOD modifications, into your flights, into your navigations, into your hangars, in your echo chambers of flight command. Okay. So you have to really understand how this all works now. Okay. So it's the sim inside that has to control the outside. The outside is the Merkaba. Okay? So once the sim understands the body of reaction, you're in a position locations by understanding space to understand the control, right? So it's a circulation, rotation, circulation, rotation, circulation, rotation. So what you're doing in set location, you're trying to understand all levels of you in fabrics of space. So starting position location lines, right? Understanding how to get into the hydraulics of space, understanding the laser communication of space. There's a lacing line, calculation lines, and position of track lines. So you're locked in signal through a beat clamp, right? So that's when you're in your hangar in set locations, and then you go across. It's like catapulted, and out you go to space, right? So it's like, coming back, right? So direct and redirect. So okay, So it's about understanding how to get in position location flying in. Okay? So really pick up the sounds because you have a hum now. Everybody has a hum. That is the outline of your body. That's in transformation of his Merkaba. It's the sim that has to control the Merkaba outside now. Okay? So the outside has to understand the sim. And the sim has to understand you, which is your setting. Okay? So, as you see a hummingbird or anything through a dragonfly, what does it do? It levitates, right? So what you understand is understanding how to get to those checking points and those docking systems, right? They're locked in, right? So to release, it's a V clamp, okay? So it's locked in, and then when you want to get in positions, you use your dots through all calculations and transitions, through your modulations, it opens up, right? And then, okay, now it's in levitation, right? But it hasn't taken off yet, right? So once it understands what it needs to do, goes up and out. So there's a constant correlation setting to track length. So it's like a standard, but you have to understand the basic grounds first of space. There's different levels of space. There's fabrics of space that set location setting. There's 12 cycles. Those 12 cycles is set location and foundation graph calculations. Getting into that direct signal is understanding how to product your system inside is projection outside set locations. So you're projecting, okay, circulation rotation. All right. So this is your Merkaba when it starts getting into acceleration. Right? That's levitation. But the flywheel is balance. Okay? It's balancing. That's what it is. So if you have a motion line track, you're off balance. Right? So you don't want to be off the hydraulic rail. Okay? You're on a rail. Okay? Because if you're not on a rail, you're going to bang into another UFO. So that's why you have a sky grid line screen, set locations and hydraulic locations, like a streetcar in Toronto. It has the hydraulic and it has the wires above, right? Without the wires, it doesn't go, right? It doesn't move. All right, so everything comes in its stain line communication of its hanger setting, right? That's the hanger, okay? So there is the hydraulic. There's the V clamp, right? So modification, you're here, right? So it levitates, right? And then it's a catapult, pulls back, and then slingshots you right into space. Okay? Okay, so we're going to get in position locations, all levels, and calculations of travel. Now, first, we're going to get you in the box center travel calculation line system, position of track lines, getting direct signals. So in that track lines, once you get out of position, you come into this line connections. Okay, you go into outer space. So then you see UFOs in different direct locations. Okay, so this is you. Okay, going out. So this is you. Okay, that's your directions. Going in this way, going to there. So this is your location. These are your checkpoints. Okay, these are your checkpoints. 1, 2, and 3, right? So you dock at a different hangar, different coloration. Let's say 21, 24, and set locations into 26. Okay, different locations, different colors, different lights, right? All right, so now exactly what happens when you get out of your hangars, right? So you're always going to see UFOs go by at different levels and archetypes. Okay, all right. So once you go through line communication line settings, you're on a laser grid. That laser grid is your skyline, grid line, rotation, surface, position, track lines, crossing line communication settings. This is what it looks like in set locations. This is your location grid setting in travel. Okay. But it's in a 3D platform, communications, 4D, 5D, whatever you want to track location of travel. Okay. Setting position location of 4 track locations, right? Setting provision lines across the string, okay, and high calculations, right? So you have a pip, you have a screen line, so you know where you're going. This is you and point system, point system, point system, okay? So you have a pip. Everybody knows what that is. Perceptions, Intelligent Line Calculation Sentence Program. So it's a graphical screen. This is you through travel. This is your pip. So you have 2 video screens, right? So refer this as your dashboard and refer this as you, okay? This is you. This is your teleportation unit. Okay, we start with set locations. You're out of the hangar, okay? This is you, right? So in positions, you're going cross line. This is the hydraulics of the center location, right? You stay in that setting. You stay in that setting. You stay in that setting. That's the direction you're going. So you're going from here to here to here. So you're going from here to here to here, right? See, this is this. Okay, that's your GPS, right? Same thing when you have in your car, you have your car, right? That's it right there. That's the map. So you're following it, right? So you go here, but you're in point centers of docking, right? So you go from here, then you go here. This is you in platform, in communication. Okay, see? That's what it is, okay? Get a better understanding how to really set it up, okay? But you're on an hydraulics, you're in a V-clamp, you can't get out in set locations, right? So the only way you understand this is don't have an emotional line interference, because what happens, you're looping in track locations in opposite directions. You go from here, you decide to go here. So what's going to happen? You're going to tilt in position and off calculation offline and traction. Oops. Okay. So you don't want to do that. Okay. So it's important to understand what is happening to you when you get in positions coming out of your hangar, a set design. Okay. All right. So get a better understanding of locations and what happens to you when you get into that location at GPS setting, how you have to follow the graph. It's your dashboard, guys. You're looking outside the window, right? So that's the dashboard, right? This is you. That's you through graph of a map. So it's you following you, right? So that's how you get in control, okay? Now, to get in control, you have to understand the console. Now, the console comes in position location modifications of your manifest and your instruction locations. Really understand how to get into that setting. So you got 2 panels communications. You got arrow indicating, arrow indicating, arrow indicating. There's 1, okay? So you get a calculation line interference, 1 arrow indicating, another indicating. There's another. Sets locations, all levels, always in 2 panels. Gets tricky if you set position and travel calculations. Right? These are all levels of console. Okay? Tracking communication going north, going this way, going this, north and south, going this way, or going this way in set location. Okay? Different directions, right? So if you understand this, then you understand what is going on with you through modulation. Okay? Through your consoles. Okay, console, right? All right. So I'm just getting you guys the basic grounds now because you really understand how to get in that system locations. All right. So this is you traveling. You're traveling. Okay, that's you traveling. Okay, you're traveling. Okay, but you're always on a grid. Always on a grid. So get into practice mode and position to learn how to levitate your UFO. Okay. Get in position line calculation lines. You can go around in set locations if you want. Okay. So that is an overcross, right? So these are the things you got to look at. But in line communication settings, you're always in a grid. You're always in a grid. Okay. You're always in a grid. Always, 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 always. Okay. So, and because you have UFOs coming this way. Here's the UFO going this way in set locations. Right? Crosses through you, right? So it stays in its own lane. That's a V-line track, okay? So V-line track, sets lines communication can cross over in position, but you have to go through higher levels of acceleration so it can pass through without hitting you in traction, okay? So this is about understanding traffic now, okay, to stay in your own lanes. Okay, it's not like a motorcycle. Okay, you go in the same direction. No, you're locked in. You're just levitating and gliding. Okay, you're levitating and gliding. Right? It's like this. It's like strategy. Like whoa, 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 whoa. You know, you're in a situation, location, right? Ducking, right? Dodging. So very powerful when you come into this line conditions of space. Okay, to really pay attention to yourself through graphing set locations of your GPS line connection. Okay, your map. Okay. All right, so we're going to start. You come in location setting your consoles and modulations, your simulators. Okay, so it gets more complicated once you understand what happens in space, right? So in space, you have planets, okay? They're coming in and out in set locations, right? Coming in and out, traveling wherever they want. They know what they're doing, right? So it's you have to understand the track communications of where you're going. Where am I going? Where am I going? Okay, going here, right? If you're going to go to that planet, there's going to be two panels. So those two panels is its position. So you have to create a location grid and lock it in signal and set location. If you don't lock it in signal and set locations, all setting planets come out with their set location of their teleportation units and set on standby. Okay, you have to set up the location grid. So what that does, it sets up a tracking device. It wheels you in. Okay, so every planet has a set location line interference of a tracking device, right? So if you don't identify your system, it will pull you in. And all XT1000s will come out in set location. It's protecting its planet. You're talking about real space now. So you have to be aware of what you're doing when you get into planets. That's why you have a location grid, okay? So the location grid comes in security line defense, right? So, and then it goes through, it's docked in and set location to its planet, to its hangar, a set location. All right. And then you get out and then you go to the hallways and all that set location. All right. All right. And this is all through the set location, your higher self, right? Your higher self is set position of space line. Send your avatar and the same. You're working with the same setting locations, but now you're working with fabrics of space. But you have to really understand the position of its mapping sequence of travel. Okay, where are you going in space? All right. So once you understand this, okay, and you don't hit any UFO, like bumper cars, then you come into your data highway, okay? So your data highway kind of like something like Tron, where it has direct signals. It has a mapping sequence set location to its system. Travel calculation lines and direct signal, okay, comes in all position locations. It sets lines of platforms. So it's kind of like, you know, you're following where you need to go, but you're on that grid and set location, right? All right, so get in position of platform. Your position line track lines comes into its settings in center position of its operation, right? So in that position line calculation line interference, this is you right here, right? That's you, right? So in position locations, you come here into location grid, okay? So it's all about understanding to get in position of travel of what you're doing, okay? And then you go straight through, and then you go this way in this set location, or you go this way in set location, okay? That's how it's set up. Okay, so you have to really understand how to get into that setting, right? And this becomes more levels of a holographic of its design of travel set location. You can actually see the platform, right? You can see the platform come to life in set location. You actually see yourself traveling through in space. All right, so in set location. Now, when you want to dock, these are point centers, point, 3 points, right? So let's say the XT1000 wants to come here and dock. So it's going to dock here, okay? It's going to dock here, right? It's docking here at point, right? That's hangar 1, okay? Powerful, isn't it? Now you're understanding a little bit more how this all works in set locations. Okay, so you're always working. Your Earth is here now. You're above the system to its location. That's your Earth. But now you're here in the center. Okay. This is your Earth. So you're looking above. You're never looking below. You can travel around, circulate, rotate around the Earth, but you can't go below the Earth because there's high calculation line streams there, which is a low density setting. Okay. It's a fabric of space of low gravity. It's rotating high calculation lines. It keeps the Earth rotating above the system to the location of its archetypes. Archetypes is what makes its gravitational pull keep it in space, the setting. Okay? So you're always, always above set locations. Look how powerful it is. See? Then you go to this point. Okay? And then you go to this point. 3-track location settings of points. All right? Which is your settings of your locations. All right? Points and your dockings. Checkpoints and dockings. Okay? All right. But it's powerful, isn't it? When you really understand what is really going on when you're in recharge. Okay? All right. So understanding this location settings. Start with the hanger. Okay? So when you get at position locations, you come out, know exactly the directions you're going to go through point centers location, right? So you're always going through check-in points. You're always docking, okay? Because you have to refuel, right? You can't just, okay, well, you know, I'm at like, you know, I think I need to get gas, you know, because what's going to happen, your UFO, it's that location system, is going to be floating in space. So it's going to be like this, and then it's going to go like this, and then it's going to go like this. And then it's going to dip, or it's going to dip on both side location, right? So you have to stay above, which is 10,000, right? You can't go below deck, okay? You have to stay above 10,000, okay? So it's really interesting when you look at the platforms and how this all works in provision, right? So you got 3 line calculation setting to travels, okay? So always stay above 10,000. You're fine through travel communications, but you're on that location grid in setting. Okay, that's how it's set up. Okay, so when you understand the graph here and you understand your travels, point here, point here, point here. There it is up there, right? So what you're doing here, right? So you got 2 graphing screens. Okay, you're looking at your travels and you're looking at your directions and set locations. Now you can go in that settings if you want set locations, right? But you have to stay on the set location of your direct line settings because you already have your geographical map set up on a 24 cycle and set location. It's already set up. It's already set up. You're coming back into your memory how to get in position of your checking points and dockings. Okay? So you're always going to be above, okay, your Earth now. Okay? Powerful, isn't it? All right. So once you get into that line calculation setting, this is about understanding traveling. Okay? So it's like free gliding. All right? Free gliding is basically in a calculations of a simulator. We have simulators in all communication of sectors, vectors, and quads. So this gives you a better understanding where you set up a simulator and you have UFOs in all lines and position locations, and you're seeing laser grids, and you're trying to understand the point centers of the dockings, and you're trying to understand this over here, and no, I can't go over there because they're coming in. You have to understand what's coming in and what's going out. What's coming in and what's going out. Okay? So if they're going out in positions, you can't go in. This is you. You can't do that because they're coming out. Okay? So in and out exit. Okay? So that's the inner line cycle to the outer line division. Okay? So how does everybody feel now how real it is? Right? To really understand the connections now. Okay? When you're traveling. But it's so powerful when you actually see yourself doing this. Checking your points and docking. Okay? All right. So once you get into that line calculation setting, you get to higher lines of division, okay? Because you get into position levels. There's your moon and position locations. Your sun is here in set location, all right? Sun comes out, travels lines, streamlines, high calculation stream, and position, location, and program. Sets lines, calculation, high positions, operation, right? Directing lines. You're coming out of box line rotation surface and in 3 communication setting that travels in 4 set locations, right? So travel calculation lines and track locations, different directions and setting, okay? Now in set location, you come out, okay, in set position, right? So when you come out, you can travel through, right, to the set location of the sun, right? So modifies high center interference, and the moon comes in position of track location of sonar and track location high setting. Okay. So you really have to understand how this all works, working with the sun and working with the moon, because it's astral project location settings through kilo, which is your mic, kaleidoscope communication settings and travels, and position to its location. All right. So when you understand how to go through circulation rotations of your system, you understand how to get in position of traction, right? This is all done through your modifications of you traveling, okay? So you go here, this is you, okay? So you decide to go around and out, okay? Go around the circle, right? And then you can go across line string, right? But you got to understand the realms, okay? Because they're star portals, they're stargates. These are stargates when you go really close, okay? So you got to be very careful that you don't bang into them, okay? So you have to go through them. And when you go through them, okay, there's a modulation of monitor in line position location is setting and calculation. Here's Pluto and security line defense, okay? So it's important you understand when you're going through these things, it opens up its system to its location setting that docks its system to the location of the system. Okay? Because you're always going to be working with Pluto, because Pluto is the security line defense of fabulous space and set locations, right? So I'm just getting to show you have to really understand how to get into travels and how you see your sun and how you see your moon through set location of a solar sail and track location. Okay, has its platforms. We already gone through that, right? Sets position of 4 and position of its location grid. Okay, its location grid. Its location grid. Okay, so coming out of position is you, right? I'm just showing you all different lines of travel, what you can do, right? When you come out. So in that platform communications, you can do a UV line center, sets position location setting. That's a UV line center, right? So going from this direction to up this line calculation setting, position locations, right? But your graphical set locations in your system is already set up, okay? So it knows exactly where you're going and how you're doing it in position of travel, okay? That's you through the map of what you're doing, okay? So it gets more real when you understand how to navigate your system through travel. Okay, in all set location to positions and set location. All right, because now you have to really understand this, because I'm telling you, yourself inside has to really understanding the projections from outside, because it's the outside that you have to control. But what's controlling the outside? It's the inside controlling the outside. Right? So this is what it is. This is what it is. Okay, you're inside. This is you. Okay, this is you inside. All right, the outside is your body. Okay, that's your sim. This is your body. So in set location circulation, okay, rotation. Okay, circulation, rotation. There's the atom. Okay, comes into its own setting of its own travel. Once it comes into its set location, it comes into a cubical setting of travel communications. Okay, so once it gets into that, it travels. Okay, it travels on its own. So the body's in balance with its own system set location. Okay, so when the sun and the moon come in, you're changing your thoughts, because the sun protects the lights and the moon protects the set location of your behavioral line calculation setting of your set location. So this is where you don't get it in position confusion, or what happens when the sun and the moon protects the image of your thought calculation line setting It's not draining its system to its application system. Okay, it's protecting. It's protecting. Okay, so it's very powerful when you come into that location, right? So it's the inside, understanding the outside. And it's the outside, understanding the inside, right? Through both modulations. So you're working with a simulator. You're the simulation of the simulator, okay? So again, in position those locations, you're inside, okay, controlling your body. So your body is at 4-point settings and tractions now in circulation. Okay, that's what it is. It's a spin top. So it has to really understand how to travel through its position. Okay, so it goes here, direct and redirect. It can do whatever it wants. It's got to find its set location in the system and travel calculations. Okay, and then you see XT1000s come in all different directions, right? Seeing you, right? So that's what it is. You stay on a 45 graph line because you guys don't understand free travel. Free modulation travel is based on understanding. It's kind of like free fall, where you don't need a static line. You don't need somebody in position pulling the altimeter or calculations to the canopy. You know, when you're jumping out of a plane, right? You have somebody above you that's controlling the, you know, the feet, right? In this application to pull the canopy, right? Or the parachute, right? So that's what it is. You guys are not in free fall yet. Free fall is understanding all levels of the design and where to go through your mapping sequence location of travel. So you guys are going to be on a 45 line communication of teleportation stream, okay? Until you understand the structure of you and inside is understanding to control yourself from outside. Inner cycle, outer cycle. Okay, inner space, outer space, right? So once you understand that, the sun and the moon protects your astral projections of what you create through its anomalies of its fabric space, a set design of your thought set location. So nobody can take your design of data and drain your energy, okay? Because the thing is, what you have to understand is modifications of travel is to understand you through checkpoints and dockings. Okay? It's very powerful what we're coming into, right? It's so powerful. It's so real now because you're above the system. Okay? Which is the fabric of space. Okay? Which is the foundation, right? All right, so is everybody getting understanding now how this all works and how powerful things are coming in set locations? So you come in position location settings, modulation settings, error points in direct system, and travel calculations. There's one setting, okay? So that's 3 directions, here, here, and here. So you got a graph. Okay, so you go here, there's a point. You go here, here's a point, and up here, okay? So this is you, and this is the actual map that you're going through, right? So, set location line centers you here. This is you, and you're traveling to the point system, okay? So once you're in the point system, you're at a dock. You're in a dock, okay? So set locations, and again, there's going to be XT1000s traveling, right? So don't mind them. As long as you identify yourself. If they don't know who you are, just identify yourself, okay? Sometimes they come in view. So when they come in view, they look at you, they scan you right away in set location, okay? So if they identify your settings, position of track lines, offline communication system, you come in a 4-track location, okay, high setting, okay? So you have to look at the intelligence, see the eye lines? So as long as you understand your modulations of direction, you're totally fine, direct and redirect, right? You're fine. But if you don't understand how to control your Merkaba, XT1000s are going to scan your system, even if you identify your system, right? Because they don't understand you through your Merkaba set design. So when you're in that positions, you dock right away, okay? You dock right away, okay? So there's a lot of things you have to be understanding to be understood in that set location system. So when you're docking, you bring the sun and the moon in position, and it protects its vehicle at set location. It protects your vehicle from everything around it. So when you get back in position, you come out of levitation, right? So the important thing is you have to basically look back, because there's a portal here in set location, right? There's a portal here. If there's a portal here and it hitches a ride with you, you brought it back in set location. It's hitching a ride, right? So wherever you do through travel in line connections, it's going to follow you in track location. Okay, so it's important you understand, right, to always look behind and make sure there's no portals. If they're open, close them. Okay, through the mind conception of thought. Okay, because they open and close automatically. So there's a portal here, there's a portal here, 3 portals of communication that are already open, right? So in that set location, you have to close them, or they're going to be line connecting in position in all calculation line system, and you got 3 calculation lines in setting location in your system. Okay? So you have to really understand. I know it's amazing, Laura. So when you're in that location system, then you understand how to control your Merkaba, a set design. So it's a catapult that basically, you know how you feel the energy line and it pulls you in? It's pulling you in, right? The sun and the moon is protecting your Merkaba when you dock. It puts a plasma screen, okay? And it puts a location grid, a box location grid, which is security perimeters. So this is what is in track location next in set line connections, right? Back in your hangar. This is your hangar, okay? This is your hangar. That's your hangar, okay? Platitude, 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 platitude. That's your hangar, okay? So in that set position to its location setting, you have to understand how to get in track location to its system in all calculation, all right? So in set location, this is you, right? And you want to dock, right? So you have to really understand how this all works now. Is in position locations, there's the hydraulics in the center position, right? So in calculation high position, it calculates stream interference. In direct location, you come in this position and you come here, okay? So you go from here to here, right? So you're coming in, right? So you are decelerating, not accelerating. So you have to understand your pinpoint directions of where you're going, north, west, south, and east, because everything's north. Every time you turn, it's north. That's why you always use north as a reference when you're docking or going back to your hangars. Okay? So it comes in view. It comes in view in set location. Right? So now you clamp it. Now it's locked. Okay? So you're good to go. But before you do that, before you get out, on the platforms of communication, okay, you have to check around outside. Check, 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 pre-flight this, pre-flight that. Not just pre-flight when you travel, also pre-flight when you get in positions when you dock your system, okay? So in that set location, you put force fields and energy fields around your Merkaba, okay? So nobody can get in your teleportation unit, okay? Might want to take a free ride. Who knows, right? That's perception of emotion. That's how real it is, guys. Stay out of emotional track when you're docking. All right, so in that set location line system, you're good to go. You get out of the platform and you go into the hallway in set locations. There you are, out of its equation. Okay, so I showed you exactly how to set things up. Okay, how important it is of what is happening to you. Okay, all right. So how does everybody feel about that now, right? This is where you really have to understand how real it is. That's what you guys go through, but you don't see it, but you're going to see it now, right? So understanding that is understanding the points of directions of docking. Okay? All right. So, and all calculation lines are traveling, right? Okay, so that's why you have to understand all levels of you first. So it's the inside, okay, controlling the outside, and the outside is trying to understand the inside. Hey, what are you doing to track communication line interference? I'm not ready for the modulation communication center. Error. Right? You're setting off a signal. That's locations travel. Setting off signals. This is your emotional system, right? So you platitude and you got out of position, right? So you're here and you're traveling, right? So you think everything's good, but you set up a signal. If you set up a signal, guess what comes in and track locations? Other UFOs, right? So that's what happens when you get in motion, okay? Don't set up high calculation lines of beacon lights or tracking lights or division lights or target lights or anything in modulation settings or anything position location of falsity communication settings, off calculation, off grid, roguing in calculation high position location of your system. Okay, that's what happens. All right, set position track lines in calculation lines in your space communications scans you first and see where you are. Right, it scans you. So if it doesn't recognize your Merkaba and your set location, if you identify yourself, you're in a good way form. Right. So it's important to understand these things because what is in chronological order in space is perfection. All XT1000s and all unifications of all models is already in its operation. It knows what it's doing through its travel. It's you have to understand you through travel, which is the outside of your Merkaba. The sim has to control the outline communication of its motional line and position. Okay? Yes. Always work with north because every time you turn, it's north. Using north as a reference, right? But it's very powerful when you get in emotional line connections, okay? Okay, but it's very also powerful when you see this, how to dock. Do you actually see these things? That's what I'm talking about. That's how real it is, okay? All right. So when you get into that position of track lines, you go back in settings, locations, and position consoles. Really understanding the directions, right? Okay? Directing and redirecting, right? So calculation, modification, line interference. You guys don't use a horn. You have a detector, okay? Now that's a beacon lights, okay? It's like flashing lights, you know? Like say you're on a dirt road and basically a car is coming, flash lights, right? Okay, so it's saying, hey, you got your light brights on, right? So that's all it is. So basically what it is, it's a high detection screen in direct signal. So you're in position of traveling lines of 3 settings, okay, 3 set locations, right? So you get an XT1000 coming here and going here and set location going around you, right? So you got the moon over here and position its locations, right? So you want to go to the moon, you have to identify your system, right? It's all levels of identification settings. And that position location, you have the sun over here in traction, okay? But it's always in together set locations. It's always in together set locations, okay? So it's really interesting too, because you have to look at these things because like I said, it's the high detection setting line position of its operation system. So what you do is you have a high detection screen that sets lines of communication and sets a tonal line in position of track lines of reflection, sets the XT1000s into another directions and set location. Okay, so you set into a different directions. Okay, so it's like a mirror to a mirror of a reflection, right? Whoa. So the XT1000 is going to take off the other way, right? So as long as you identify yourself in space, you're fine. But if you don't identify yourself in space, the XT1000s are going to come into formations and they're going to scan you. And if they don't recognize your system, there's going to be more buddies coming, okay, to their planet system of locations, guys, okay? So it's really interesting when you look at that through platform, all right? Okay, so now you understand the consoles, modulations, simulations, and everything, position attractions, right? It's really fun stuff, isn't it? So I'm just showing you the basic rounds, fabs of space now, where you guys are in this center correlation setting, and you are here above a set locations, okay? This is you in set locations inside your Merkaba design, okay? So you're above your Earth now. Okay. So you're out of the ether, you're out of the core, you're out of the umbrella. Okay. And now you're in the center position of the equal line communication center lines and travel calculation of space navigations of travel. Okay. So you have to really understand how to control your Merkaba through set design. Okay. To control your Merkaba of set design. Okay. To control your Merkaba of set design of what you're doing through your map. Okay. All right. Is everybody getting a better understanding how this all works now through provision? How real it is now? Because you're going to be hollows of space, modifications of space, directions of space, high levels of space, archetypes of space. You're going to hear so many lines of intelligence of sounds. Okay. It's going to be astronomically in sound, which is out sound, inbound, outbound. Everything is in, everything is out. Okay. So in, out. There always has to be an out. This goes in, this goes out. All right. If there's a provision cycles and high calculation lines of stress lines, there's 2 track lines of arrow indicating high position of travel lines, 2 process of communication, which is combustion and set location. Right. So one has to go in and one has to come out. A set design. Right. One goes in, one comes out. Okay. So you got one ear line and position of right and left. Okay. That's the tunnel in its position to its locations. All right. You have to understand your eardrum of what is set location, what it's doing, right? Okay, so getting in that position location line settings, the signifies position location to its planets. Okay, so the planet sends you data information to the right and the left ear in set location. Center communication line centers of high calculation lines is the center line communication or flywheel and set positional point centers. Traffic calculation line position location is its direct signal and set location. Platform's communication line centers is a 3-track, 4-line, 5-line, 6 lines of track communication. Traffic calculation lines, point lines, data streams, and high position location modification. Okay, that's the equation, right? So that's what it is in tractions with your sounds, where you pick up sounds by all your sensories, right? So you're going to see more levels of planets. You're going to see more lines of teleportation units going across screens, back screens, off screens. In position locations, you're going to see them come out of the sun. You're going to see them come out of the moon. A neuromodulation setting. You're going to see other universes. You're going to see other directions. You're going to see everything possible because you're in open space. Okay? You're not just in your universe anymore. Your universe is your Earth. So in set location line inference, the contract and position travel lines high position its vacuums of its space set locations puts you in equalized in communication of balance of setting. How to understand you in travel of communications. Okay, in calculation. All right. All right. So how's everybody doing with that so far? It's a lot to take in, right? Okay. So this is what you guys are going to be going through on a daily basis. In the same day, you've got to understand your alpha, delta, and theta. Not so much of the mega, not so much anything high, zeta, or gamma line position radiation. More alpha, delta, theta. Now, 3 track line provisions. Okay, alpha tone, delta heading, and theta information, which is your imagination of your phenomenon, right? Theta is your line connections, your eye receptor line screen, sets position lines of tactics. Delta is the heading communication line stream interference of where you're going in track location directions through your modulations. And alpha is the set locations that are setting the ground location settings to your checking points and your dockings. Okay? That's what alpha is, right? So you go into alpha bravo. So you're docking, right? Delta heading, you're going somewhere else. Okay, theta, I see something, right, that I don't understand, right? Get into that through modulation. Understand yourself through the simulation of the simulator of you. Okay? You really have to control your Merkaba now because it's already in transition of space. Okay? So That's it. Okay, we'll stop there because there's so much you guys have to understand through travel. Okay, now you understand how powerful it is of what you guys are going to see now in the fabrics of space. Understand how to use all your senses. You're going to be more connected to your inhibitors now. Your spine is going to react more. Your wrists are going to respond more. Okay, and set locations, right? Because the position of track line says your barcode line connections. 5 indicating line calculations of clockings, indirect signals, location of direction, right? Modulations of consonants communication. Okay, really understand your senses now. You have sensory perceptions, you have external perceptions. So you have to understand how to use the inner line and the outer line connection high center interference. Okay, the inner fabrics of you and the outer fabrics of your space of modulation. Okay, all right, see you in 5.